Fuimos.
We're good.
No fuimos. ¿Cómo estamos? How
Oh,
you
we're good
doing?
now.
How you doing?
Oh,
How
thank the
you
Lord.
doing?
Thank the Lord. Sorry, everybody. We had technical difficulties, so we had to
Yeah, we had
we
to
had to
run.
leave and come back. Yeah.
We had to run it back. Let me check
Yeah.
real quick.
Yeah. Okay. You make sure.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay, we got it now. All right. All right. Well, thank you for having me here again. I know it was.
Yeah,
It wasn't.
we already said hi. How you doing? Welcome to it. Yeah. All right, let's bring it back to the market update. So we're talking about how there's a quote unquote big situation happening right now outside of what the financial markets are, and that's Russia highly likely to invade Ukraine this coming week. So,
That's so funny. I thought you were saying hi.
oh no, so that is basically pretty huge right now. That is that political event has caused a lot of turmoil in the markets, as you can see here. Technical technology stocks, communication services stocks, consumer cyclical. All of these big companies that most of them may be categorized as growth, but they're
Hmm.
they're what's I would say you know I would say operating in the economy right now. Obviously oil plays a huge role, but specifically in these particular times where you could a potential war seems to be the red flag. Well, then definitely oil will be a big player here, right? So that's why we see energy stocks so green right now, and just oil stocks in general had a great boom that closing week, up about an average 3 to 5%. So
Mm.
that's good, right? So I think that in a way that's bad, right? Obviously, the war
Yeah.
and everything, markets crash, etc. Potential catastrophe, but you know,
Yeah.
as
But your
this,
cynical self was like, "Oh yeah, it's
I
a good time to buy."
was gonna leave
So
that out. No, but yeah, like it's an opportunity presenting itself. Warren
yeah,
Buffett
true,
made his fortune because he had a lot of opportunity back in World War II.
true.
I mean, I'm not judging him because of that, but if you had that same opportunity and God forbid nothing is happening to us, um, then let's take advantage of it, right?
That was so that was a good or a big move for him in investing. Is that right?
Who?
Warren Buffett.
Yeah,
Was that like a big opportunity? Just that's what you said.
yeah,
You just
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Mm.
Warren Buffett has been investing since. I mean,
Wow.
he's what, like 84.
Oh yeah,
So
Warren Buffett. He's like a thousand.
that's a thousand.
Yeah.
So 84. That means that basically this guy has been investing Retale Once. That's 78. He has been investing for 78 years. So
Jesus Christ.
you know,
Oh my God. Yeah, I remember my opportunity. It was in the
1944 he started investing. So
yeah.
1944 is basically peak
Wow.
World War
And
Two.
I should have done something just like him. I should have invested in the pandemic. Just like, I mean, that's when me and you started, right? Or way before.
I mean, I personally started investing, yeah, in the pandemic because it was,
Mm.
it was my I saw it as my opportunity to do so. I
Mm.
used that window to start this whole money jam, which wasn't even money jam back then.
Yeah, it
But
wasn't
this
money
whole
jam.
campaign of basically, I went out there and was like, look, I know this is bad. A lot of people are, I guess maybe a lot of people took me as cynical, but I was like, I know this pandemic is terrible and it has caused a lot of
Hmm.
misery in our lives right now, but there's a lot of opportunities in the market
Yeah,
right now that
it
it get
depends on how you see it. Hmm.
yeah, but for I was seeing it like there's a lot of opportunity, and if I could get like a lot of my college friends, which are basically my high school friends, to invest, well, then this could potentially set them up for being in a better position and not having to, oh my god, I need to work another shift so I could go out next weekend. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, that was crazy, honestly.
so I really went out there and said that. I was like, it is a great buying opportunity, and I used that to launch what was back then B Finance. So I mean,
Mm.
crazy, crazy story. I know, but it is what it is. It was a great time. Market
Yeah.
dropped about 30% in general. A lot of these companies basically lost their revenue because the economy literally shut down. Nothing was happening, right? Nothing.
Hmm.
So I basically, a lot of opportunities were, look, once we start back, then this this should recover. At if it recovers at least to some extent, we're still winning, right? Because I'm basically starting now. You know what I mean? So I'm not dragging anything from anything higher up. So that's why it was such a, in an overall aspect, a win-win situation for me. But I was a new investor, a new trader, whatever you may call it, and I did suffer part of those rookie mistake consequences.
Everybody,
You know,
everybody. Hmm.
so uh, yeah, I think that's why we're here today. You know, I feel everybody has had rookie mistakes happen throughout their journey, whether it has been at the start of their journey or midway. Something is gonna happen, right? So I feel like that's why we're here. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I would, if I would be able to go back to my past self in that moment where he started, the only reason I would have slapped him in the back of the head would have been because he was desperate and he sold, right?
Everybody,
Let me tell
everybody.
you something. I had to use my stimulus check for like a couple of other stuff in that time, but what was left, I used it and I invested. And I invested most of it in stocks like Carnival Cruises, Royal Caribbean, Norwegian Cruise Line, JetBlue, Southwest,
Wow.
Delta. I had all these companies. I had about like, I would say like $200 worth of them, right? So I mean,
Well,
let me tell you something. Back then, Royal Caribbean was about 20, $30. JetBlue
yeah,
was $8.
I remember
Southwest
Roger Caribbean.
was about 17. And I could look this up right now. Let me tell you something. Look.
I remember Royal Caribbean because I remember I invested in Royal Caribbean. All of a sudden, I was like, I'm gonna take my money out. You know, the rookie mistakes,
Yeah.
and
Let me tell
yeah,
you.
I totally regret that. I
This
totally
is
regret that.
this is right. This is what I mean. So that down there was the pandemic low, right? Was peak pandemic. So when I started, I was around this area right here. So this area, which is you see between April and June, where finally Puerto Rico received the stimulus. You see between 30 range. So I bought between there. And just look from the pandemic low to the post-pandemic high, we have 420% increase just here, right? So that means one stock at $30 turned into a stock of $100. So I had like, from Royal Caribbean, I had like 2 stocks. So that was great profit there. Let's see. I had Delta Airlines, which is, let me just look at it like this. Delta Airlines. Yeah. Delta Airlines, the same thing. From pandemic low to post-pandemic high, there's an increase of 200% basically. And let me tell you something. This is still not close. I mean, not close, but it's still not that pre-pandemic high in this particular industry. You know what I mean? But imagine starting off our portfolio just as I was doing, recently, and long term being able to buy at these levels, at these low levels, and being at this point now, you would have already had a great head start. You know what I mean? A great head start. So what happened for me? Well, I found out about penny stocks.
Penny stocks. I can't believe.
And that's where
thank you people for coming today. I think we're just gonna end it right here.
Yeah, that's where it all started. That's where it all started for me. In the trading aspect, right? I feel.
Yeah.
I feel I've evolved a lot, but basically, there's this thing called StockTwits, right? So it's like Twitter for stock traders, and you have the ability to basically put a tweet-like statement, and you can classify it as a bearish or bullish statement. So I started getting into this platform, and just with the trending, right? I remember I found about Genius Entertainment. I found about Novan or Novin. And basically what was happening was in these platforms, right?
Never heard of that.
And in these platforms, similar as to how today we're seeing a lot of Discord activity because of NFTs, well then, because of this platform, you would have a lot of Discords of penny stocks traders, which were supposedly, constantly researching these stocks in order to find out when, a potential, most of these are pharmaceuticals, so find out when a potential patent was coming out that would surge the price at least for a bit so they could get a quick profit there. That's how they trade it, right? So I remember seeing this guy put out a tweet about this thing called Novin, right? And it's basically a pharmaceutical, and point is they were developing some sort of vaccine, or they were doing some sort of respiratory, treatment. So I was like,
for chickenpox, and you were like, oh my god,
for chickenpox,
you're creating a vaccine, bro. This is the future for chickenpox. That's so funny.
I mean, I had it all twisted because I would have done that with Moderna or Novavax or Pfizer, something like that, and it would have played out well. But these penny stocks are so volatile, and This is here is where the OG wells exist, right? These bag holders that basically dump the stock price as soon as something like that happens and they
Mm.
have a quick profit. So
You didn't know it was traded, and instead you were investing on it.
point
Oh
is
my
that
god!
I remember I started okay, this is where I started failing, which was I started removing from my long-term positions like Delta Airlines and Royal Caribbean to have cash for the trading. So
Wow.
that's a no-no, guys. That's a no-no. Don't do that. I don't do that anymore.
Benjamin Graham in this, and he's crying right now
But
in heaven.
that's a no-no. Never do that, right? If you're investing, if you have a long-term portfolio, whether you have a long-term and a short-term, but if you have a long-term portfolio, do not remove your long from your long-term holdings just to try and feed your short-term, you know, goals, right? Leave your
Warren
long
Buffett, if you're listening to this, please do not shit on our podcast. You know, he didn't know, all right? He didn't know how
those are
to
my
take
rookie
no.
mistakes. Those are my rookie mistakes. So
Please, Warren.
don't do
We've
that.
changed,
But
Warren. We
yeah,
changed.
so don't do that. Keep it cool. Keep it calm. If you want to do the trading, try and figure out how to make a little extra money so you can spare that extra change if you lose it, right? So once that happened, I remember I started doing a little bit of technical analysis, and I even have a Snapchat recording of when I made the buy. And I remember buying 100 shares at a couple of cents, right? And I just saw this stupid little triangle pattern forming. And let me tell you, man, it ripped like right after that. It started going, parabolic. It went from 5.5, point 6 to I think point 0.8, and it reached it literally reached $1. So for me, that was double the profit, right? What happened? Once it was reaching that, news started to come out that a company was potentially gonna buy Novin for a particular, price. So I remember when I saw that, instead of using that hype to secure my profits, I got more into it and I doubled down. I basically bought more shares, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good after that. It wasn't good. So that happened, but basically the same story happened. I would say close to simultaneously because I was doing that not only with Novin, but there was this other one
Wow.
called
Yeah.
Genius Entertainment, which I was really hyped about because of the fact that
Oh my god.
it had a lot of acquisitions that was being reported and a lot of good collaborations, good investors. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Warren Buffett had a series that was going to be aired there. A lot of these things, and it turned out that it was all hype, right? Because I was not reading the correct sources, and
Wow.
I mean, I had. Let me tell you something, and that was the even bigger mistake because since I got there earlier than I got with Novin, then I felt like, all right, then I found out that if I get in earlier, right, if I was here before all of this happened, then I have a higher chance, right?
Wow.
So I remember getting in because of all that hype, and I got in at a price of like almost $2. Let's just put it $2, and it went up to 4. And
Wow.
I liquidated all of my Royal Caribbean positions, like all of it, just so I could have like another 100. I wanted to have 100 shares because I felt like if this goes
To the moon.
to $10, then that's $1,000. That was me, right? Let me tell you this: I did that with my girlfriend's account too.
Wow. No, you didn't.
Let me tell you this.
Oh
The
my
stock
god.
price went up to $7.
Wow.
Seven
And you were like
dollars.
diamond hands.
My girlfriend was up 700. I was up like 900, almost 1,000.
Wow.
And let me tell you this. What happened? My girlfriend said, "Take it out, take it out, like take it out." I was like, "Why would?"
Woman flex.
Let me tell you this. I was like, "Why would I take it out?" I was like, "You know what's gonna happen on
Wow.
June? I think it was June or July 14th. I think it was June 14th. I was like, on June 14th, they're gonna officially launch their streaming service called. I think it was. I don't even remember how it was anymore. But
Wow.
yeah,
The
yeah,
crash was so bad he had amnesia.
yeah.
Wow. Well,
Let me
keep on
tell you.
telling the
Let me
story.
tell you.
Yeah.
I was like, on June 14th, they're gonna release the streaming channel with all these new shows, and they have like a Warren Buffett show, and they have all these shows, and they have a series that they have a toy collection that's gonna release on Walmart retail stores on the week after the the streaming
The
service.
release, yeah, the streaming services.
My guy. The next day, the stock price goes to $11, and when it touches 11, that day it went back down to 7. And I was
Wow.
like, "What did I do?" I was like, "It's okay." Like
Diamond hands, baby. You
diamond
were like
hands, right?
diamond
I was
hands.
like, if you see the chart that goes like emotional cycle in the markets, like that was based off me, guys. Like I was like, nah, this is just a little
Wow.
dip. I didn't double down there, but I was like, this is gonna go up because this is just some people securing their profits, and it held at 7. The next day, it went down to like 6, 5. Next day, 4. Already, my girl started having losses.
Wow.
My girl was like, "Why am I losing money?" I'm like, "Oh no, it's going down because people are taking their money out, but they're not."
And we didn't take our money out.
I was like, and I was like, but they're not thinking of when the streaming service releases, and when that releases is gonna be too late for them. And then it went down to 2. And then this was bad because I got my girlfriend, and you remember Luis? I got Luis into it too, bro. Like,
Wow.
it wasn't for me. It wasn't nice.
So
It
Luis
wasn't.
was a meme investor too?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Luis was always into the index fund investing, so he really started there. But because of me, because I was like talking to him about, look, this company's doing this. He was like, all right, I'm gonna have some money and I'll do this, right? And I was like, look, I mean, I'm doing it. I don't want to force you to do anything, right? But he was like, no, 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 I trust you, and bro,
Wow.
I
So he
remember
said,
saying like
I
I
trust
remember
you.
saying like, bro, I'm like really like my bad, bro. Like I should have like been like different. He forgave me, but that's terrible still, you know. I mean I've matured a lot since then. And let me tell you something. If you were a person asking me even today with the knowledge I have today, I would still be, look, it don't matter what I say. Look for it and find out for it, by yourself.
Yourself.
Because
Mhm.
I could put this in a way that for you it feels like you should invest, and I'm just saying this so you don't invest, you know. But for you, it's like, oh,
Mhm.
that's why I should invest. You understand what I mean? Hey,
Mhm. Mhm.
just go and figure it out yourself, and that's for your own good because of those literal experiences that I had.
Yeah.
This is why I'm telling you. It's not because I'm a bad person. I don't want to say like buy it, but let me tell you, like I lost money, a lot of money, and not my own money, like other
Everybody
people's.
else in the
Like,
That's the thing that hurts the most. I didn't even know this part of you, man. I didn't know you were a meme investor. He went on and beyond. Instead of a meme trader, he's a meme investor.
premium investor.
Wow.
That's a whole other
Wow.
level. Yeah, that's a different
Wow.
breed. Not even.
Luis, we got to speak later if you're watching this.
I mean, but let me tell you, I do it. I tell people that because it's the reality. Like, find out for yourself. Because if I would have found out for myself, then at least I make that decision based of what I found out, and maybe I would have cut my losses earlier. Maybe I would have understood what was going on better. But because I was only dependent on the fact that everybody's waiting for that date, and I'll wait for that date too. That's what happened to me. So
Wow.
that's how I started. After I lost that, I went back into the cave, kept studying. Right, I still hadn't finished class, so back then I used to talk a lot to my finance professor specifically about the markets, and I used that experience to really expand my research, and it really helped a lot understand how a company works and why those
Mhm.
penny stocks are so risky. So that got
Mhm.
me out of the penny stock game. Um,
Yeah. Oh, for sure. If you didn't get you, oh my God. I was
I mean
like, you didn't
today,
learn.
today,
You didn't
if
learn. You had to lose
today,
like 10, 20K to learn. If you didn't
today,
get.
today, like today, like for example, recently, my cousin asked me about a stock that I like. It rang a bell because I saw it back in the pandemic as it
Wow.
rose and everything, and I remember telling him like I went through the process of looking at the financials and everything, and just I already knew it was a penny stock. So the first thing I told him was like, "Look, this is a penny stock, right? This is what's gonna happen." And like, it doesn't matter the financials right now. If a point comes where this goes up, be ready for a just as fast or even faster dump, right? And I
Mm.
told him this is also when I researched it, I was like, yeah, this is a pharmaceutical. This is this that, and I used that previous experience to tell him basically price movement here is gonna depend on the fact that oh yeah they're working on this, they're working on this patent, or they're having this, or they're treating this, or they
Either rumor. Hmm.
yeah. So if that doesn't exist, then you're stuck holding the stock for a long period of time just so you could potentially see that profit, you know? So there's that. And at the end of the day, this is what I mean. Like, at least it's his perspective, and he's not doing just what I say. But after everything I told him, he was like, yeah, you're right. But I mean, even if you hold it for that long, at least it'll go up, right? Because está bajita. And I was like, I guess. At that point,
You're like, yeah.
I'm not even gonna argue with that. But why would you want to wait 5 years for something to start moving when in those 5 years you can have something that steadily moves throughout those years?
If it even does, like
So
sometimes they don't even move
again,
in 5, 10 years.
a lot of this was great, great, a great learning curve for me for when I started, and it helped me figure out what type of investor I'm gonna be and what my priorities in the markets are. So today I can enjoy trading options, but I'm still comfortable because I already know I have my long term holdings that I'm not gonna touch this time. Yeah. So definitely. But I remember back then I used to our relationship was literally just getting started, and I was talking to you, and I remember you had American Airlines at some point, and you were like, I'm gonna short this, I'm gonna long this, and all that stuff.
I
Talk to me
actually
about
named.
that. Talk to me about
Yeah,
that, man.
I actually
The
before
rookie
you
the
keep on.
rookie trader.
Oh my God! Before you keep on talking crap, I actually shorted American Airline for quite some time, and I made money. Okay, thank you very much. And then I was like, "Oops, hold up," because this is like, I was like, is like hyping up again, is going up. I was like, I'm gonna stay away from it for quite some time. The only one I was holding was JetBlue. That was all. And then I was like, man, the airline sector is so weird right now. I decided to come out. And you know what? If I knew what I knew right now, I wouldn't even have looked at the airline sector because it's
Back then,
the back then I wouldn't even have touched
I
it.
mean,
Like no, no. You
look
cannot
at it.
justify
I mean,
you cannot justify a
let
balance
me.
sheet, bro.
I mean, it's not
That
balance sheet. It's not balance sheet. I mean, just look at it from a macroeconomic perspective right now. Why did the airlines crash? Why did the airlines crash? How were they
because of the pandemic.
operating before the pandemic? Was something going wrong? Was there any concern of saying the airlines are having trouble because of this? No. The
Bro,
only
but
thing
they
that
were.
happened, I mean, all right, let me rephrase this. Some of them were having issues, I would say, internally, which could reflect in financial troubles, right? But it happens with any industry where you have some companies that are successful and profitable. However, some in that same industry are still not profitable, etc. So it's gonna happen, right?
Well, that's the thing, Brandon. The depth that American airline was in was
I mean, if
so
that's
much, and it
American
was
Airlines, that's
before,
the case,
and it
right?
was before. No, but it was before
All
the
right,
pandemic.
but what I'm saying is, if that's American Airline, then that's American Airline, right? And if it's a company that was drowning in debt, then they were drowning in debt. But if that's not
And
the
it wasn't.
case, if that's not the case, I mean, of course, even if they weren't when the pandemic happened, they drowned themselves in debt because they needed to operate while not having the operations that generate the income, right? The revenue. But still, once everything started operating as it was, just like it was before the pandemic, travel wise, meaning same amount of flights, same amount of travel, same amount of etc. All of that, all of those factors. What why is that stopping the airline from generating at least as much revenue as they were pre-pandemic, right?
But that's the thing, Brandon. Uh, I'm not expecting everything is not going to be up to 100% because of what's going on with war, pandemic, the economy itself. American Airlines, and I'm giving you the example because this was the only one I got into. But there was
Ah,
other
tuya.
companies that they were drowning. I don't even know how they got saved because I'm telling you, I haven't looked in the airline sector for quite some time now. But they were in debt. They got into the pandemic. They were more in debt. I don't know who saved them, but they're still having troubles. Like they're short of staff. They're short of pilots. They're canceling flights. It's only a matter of time. I'm not saying it's gonna, airlines are gonna disappear because that is not the case. The automotive industry, it did not disappear, but in 2008, or if I'm not mistaken, it was in 2008. There was only two surviving um, automotive companies. That was Ford and if I'm not mistaken, um, Chrysler or GM Motors. I don't know if it was Chrysler or GM Motors by that time, but there was only two automotive companies. So what I'm saying is that we're still not out of the
What are you
pandemic.
saying? What are you saying? Tell
Oh man,
tell the
oh
world
man,
what is
stop
it that
it,
you're
stop
saying,
it.
please. Tell them finally what is it that you're saying for once.
I'm just saying they got lucky. That's all I'm saying. They got lucky. That's all I'm saying. The one who I really liked that I was gonna
You're
invest on
saying the world
was
got lucky.
no, I'm saying the airline sector. Even though United is a well-standing company, I still have to go. into the balance sheet because I always go into the balance sheet. I haven't followed it for a long time. Um, that was a good one. The thing is, I was like, I'm not mistaken. By that time, it was like 20, $30. It was a little. I don't remember the price, but it was way more than American. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna invest in that. And also Southwest, the stock was still like at $200. If I'm not mistaken. I was like, I'm not gonna get into that. And you know what? I should have got into United instead of American Airlines. It
See,
was less of a risk. It was less of a risk.
that's the thing, right? We used to look at stuff based on price, not based
Hmm.
on value, not based on what's going on. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's that's how we roll. I think there's a lot of people with potentially the same experiences or similar.
Hmm.
Um,
I
and
was gonna I was gonna ask you,
yeah, yeah.
was there someone who got you into investing, or I know I asked you that question like before, um, but I just I didn't get the answer. I know we talked about like how we got into investing and like our experiences with investing and the mistakes we did,
Let me
but
tell you something. Let me tell you something. Right, investing per se, right? That the stock market aspect of it, that that area. I remember my my parents watch a lot of movies, and they used to like the sort of movies where it was like about companies, right, and stuff like that. Company drama, like people have to fight for the company, etc.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
as I watched those movies, I remember I like the guys that walk around with the suit and they talk on the phone. And they're looking at these numbers, and this is what I mean when I was in that spot where I was like, what is it that I want to, or how do I see myself in the future? I saw myself like that. I saw myself in that business vibe, like talking numbers, like we need to move these $1 million, like now what's going on, etc. And right,
Hmm.
it started in that way, and then I remember just really just being attracted to the stock market in the sense that I used to look at it in my phone, right, with the Apple application. It used to pop up always,
Hmm.
like I would always see what is it that was going on, and I would see like
Hmm.
up 2%. Like I wouldn't understand what was going on though. So that's when I said, as I said earlier, like I want to understand this. I want to understand why Apple just went up or why Nike just went down. Those were the stocks that would usually appear on my feed, and all that. Understand what's the Dow, what's the S&P, what's the net, all these things that I had no clue about, right? So it really was just, I think in my case it was a thing of like, I don't know, just inspiration and internal drive. You
Yeah, and
know,
you wanted to be in a suit making phone calls. Hey,
I mean, not
buy
that.
500
At the end
stocks
of
right
the
now.
day, a lo que me refiero, like it was a process because I saw myself like that, but I didn't see what is it that I was doing while doing that. It could have been answering a call from, hey, yeah, open the store or something like that. But
Hmm.
as I was exploring the finance world, I found the financial analysis. It was a class I took, and I took it with a finance doctor. Like she's a doctor in finance, and she was a portfolio manager in AIG back when AIG was one of the biggest insurance companies in America. And AIG insured Lehman Brothers, one of the biggest corporate banks ever, which crashed back in '08. So
Wow.
we're talking about a like she had a great financial mind, and she really opened up the world of financial analysis for me. So I would say that it's not that, you know, she got me into investing, but she really
Mhm.
opened that door that really hooked me to it. Like that thing that I wanted to understand, she opened that door for me to understand it, right? With financial analysis tools and all that. Like doing research. She's the one that taught me to like do fundamental research. She used to do it from 10 years back, right? And she really she tried to implement that in us to really focus on historical companies that have that much data, because
Yeah.
those would have less risk than a company that doesn't have 5 years of previous history, so and it's true right now. If you see a company that just IPO'd like Robinhood, you would invest in it just because of the potential of it. As you can see, it went up to 80 and it was in like $30 just recently, right? So
Hmm.
those are things that you understand once you know. Well, Robinhood doesn't even have a previous history. They haven't even reported earnings, or we haven't even seen how is it that they're gonna perform, right? So
Hmm.
a great financial mind, really, and she. I would say then, if it was a person, well, she really opened that door for me to like understand the fundamentals of this. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's good to hear. I mean, well, and you didn't learn the trading aspect of it, and from that person. You learned that
She didn't
somewhere
like
else.
trading. She didn't like
Oh,
trading.
she didn't like trading. Oh,
I
that's
mean,
crazy.
she understood that trading, if done with proper risk management, could provide a a lucrative amount of profits, but that comes alongside a higher risk, which is
Yeah.
true. Which is true. Like it's undeniable, and that's what
Hmm.
that's what I really um liked about that professor. It was that even though she was a long term type of person, she understood those things that, if done properly, like con- consistency, as you and I have come to know, well, you could have profits, correct? But it comes
Yeah.
alongside a lot of risk that could potentially result in higher losses rather than profits. So she understood the game really, and I remember we had to run a portfolio. That was one of our last projects in as I was graduating, and really, I think I
Hmm.
finished like second, maybe third, and it was because I told her, I was like, I'm gonna trade options, and I used it to trade options. I used it to trade
Wow,
options. So
that's
um,
so funny.
she was like, "Oh, I see what you did there." So she would take me as an example of why it was risky to
Wow.
hold options overnight, right? And it was
Hmm.
true. Like, of course, like today, I'm not gonna hold an option
Oh
overnight.
no, today we don't hold options for that long. We just swing trade them or day trade them, however you want to call it. Um, but I learned from that mistake. I remember I when I was a rookie, man, I did the worst mistakes ever. Like thinking back to it, when I started trading, bro, I traded I traded overnight in earnings. So, earnings
Right?
you already have a set price in
A
earnings.
menace, a menace. My boy is
You
a
know, like
menace.
there's so many traders that they avoid trading in earnings. So I was just doing the opposite. I was trading in earnings plus leaving that contract overnight. And when it came to the morning, I was like, hold up, what's going on? Why is what's happening to to the option? I'm like, why am I down? I
why
remember
why am I down if the price is down 20%,
why
bro?
why did I take my
Why
girlfriend's
is my
account and I just
why is my
uh,
contract worth $1, bro?
why is my girlfriend account down? I was like, what's going on? She's like, why am I losing money? We live the same thing,
uh,
Brandon. Don't worry about it.
oh
We live the
yeah, yeah.
same.
guys,
Wow.
guys, I don't even know why we have a podcast, bro, with the stories that we just talked. Let me tell you something. In our defense, I think is the reason why we you should trust us when we say to avoid certain things because
We
99
already done
exactly
that. We been there.
99.9% of the time we
Done
did
that.
it. Yeah, and we tried it first. And it wasn't
Yeah,
fun. You
it
know,
wasn't fun.
so keep that in mind. A lot of people are you're gonna walk around and you're gonna see a lot of people talking about or bragging about what they're holding. And let me tell you something. It doesn't hurt to research about it, right? It doesn't hurt to be interested and maybe ending up buying it. But
Hmm.
you really gotta go through the process of researching it by yourself so you can establish an opinion by yourself and go with that, whether it's saying the price is going to go down or the price is going to go up, or just agreeing on the fact that whether it goes up or down, this is a company that has a future because of what it's doing, right? And you're
Hmm.
thinking of a long term hold, then that's you, right? And it's based on your thing. So keep that in mind, right? Whether it's us, whether you hear it from a more successful person, right? A guy that has more money than you, if he's saying, look, Tesla is a great company, I like, great that you say that. Let me try and confirm that. Why do you say it's great? Oh, it has good cash flow. Let me look it up. Oh, it has this. Let me look it up. And once you confirm everything, then and you find out, oh, that I'm agreeing with that because of what I saw, then that's you, right?
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
my
because Jim Cramer, he has money, but he doesn't know anything about the stock market, man.
let me say so.
This guy has gone
I've
through.
seen charts. I've seen charts of what the Jim Cramer Investor Club looks like. He has this stocks that he provides a list, and most of them are down like an average of 20%. So it sucks. But I think whether you're up or down, I think it sucks more that you basically did it because oh, I'm trusting what this guy's saying. I think it's better even if you end up doing the same thing as he did. It's because you thought of something that led you to that, right? And
But
then next time you'll find out. Last time I tried it because of this happened. Let me try and search for anything that could maybe tell me that it's not gonna be the same part as the same thing as last time, or like if it is, then how can I take advantage of that same event?
but Brandon, how can you explain?
How can I explain what?
How can you explain a guy?
How
I
can I
mean,
explain
look
a
at you.
guy?
It only no, hold up. It only took you a certain amount of time, or really short amount of time, for you to mature within the spectrum of investing. Like you lost, and you were like, oh, hold up, I do not know about this. So let me
This is
go
thanks. This
and
is thanks to
bro,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you didn't
Continue,
go,
continue, continue.
you didn't go you didn't go through a stock market crash. You didn't go only like the pandemic. That was, well, actually, yeah, you did stock market crash, but it was a pandemic. Like this guy has been through the dot com bubble, 2008, pandemic, everything, and it only took you a short amount of time to be like, okay, I need to get out of the penny stocks, read, investigate, learn, and you learned that it was not all about the hype. Learned that it was not that you had to actually go into the company, check his balance sheet. There was a fundamental behind it. You even open a Roth IRA.
Yeah.
That's something that a lot of people, they're like, oh, I'm so young. They're like in their 30s. I'm like, I'm so young, and I don't need to
Now that you say the
start
30,
putting money.
let me. Now that you say your 30s, I just read something, and this might not be 100% accurate, but the guy, the guy that tweeted it, like saying like he read it from a study. So if it is accurate, it was basically saying that the average net worth of a 30-year-old is negative $1,000.
Negative 1,000. So the guy is like so much in debt that,
Like the guy is in debt. Yeah, like
wow.
it doesn't matter if he makes $500,000. He's basically wasting $501,000. You understand.
Wow.
So it's crazy because that means that there's not good financial practice, right? But from
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying, it has to do a lot with mentality and with the fact that I surrounded myself with, in this particular case, that professor, right? Because I'm telling you, the class would end at one time, but the reason I would stay was because she has to discuss certain topics in the class that I wasn't necessarily interested in because it would go into other topics of finance that, again, I saw trading, I saw investing. This is what I want to do. That's why I use that professor for, basically. So after each class, I, a couple of friends of mine would stay too, and they would listen as she would explain to us like certain aspects of why those things could happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I from her, I really implemented the risk manage. Like I always had that risk management in the back of my head. Obviously, as we can see from previous experiences, we I didn't practice that to the fullest, right? But I still understood what the concept was, and after that experience happened, I really understood how important it was. So since that moment, like since I had those concepts surrounded me constantly, then
Mm-hmm.
once that really bad thing happened, I really understood. Look, I understand that if I wanted to be, for example, a financial advisor in my ethics class, I know that I can't just be taking people's money and being like, hey, invest in this, because I am investing in it and I think it's going up. Look at what happened with my girlfriend. So that quickly was a red flag for me, and I'm not even doing that anymore. That's why each time people ask me, I'm like, look, I'm not doing anything. I could help you, like, figure out which account may be better for you, like, give you options. I could help you set it up, and I could help you, how is it that you buy, etc. But I'm not gonna tell you what to buy or nothing. Like I'm not gonna go through that again unless I'm thinking of, actually practicing it as an advisor. So
Mm-hmm.
really, it was just I think it was just that education journey that I had that that really helped me because again, I was a guy that I really value my money, especially in those times. I didn't have a job that I could just waste $200 each time and put another $200 back, right? You know,
We
I
didn't. We yeah.
I
We didn't have
base
the research nor
yeah
the time.
yeah and I I had to study a lot, and basically the job I had was at a retail store in Marshalls, making 40 to $100 maybe a week. So
Wow.
I had to use that and really like be careful on, all right, I could only invest this much, etc. So I really learned the value of the money that I had, and understood that I just can't lose it. I can't be like, all right, I'll try this again next time, and I don't care if I lose another $100. I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. So that's why it was really like more of a situation where if I want to do this, I have to learn. I have to understand. I have to be, you know, wiser. So that was just it for me, and I from the people that are successful in this area that I know, most of them it's the same thing. Like if you want to be successful in this, you have to be disciplined, and in order for you to be disciplined, like you have to do this in like if you make a mistake, you have to learn from it, and you have to try and avoid it next time. What
Yeah.
one thing is unavoidable, and that's that you'll you'll lose. Like that's unavoidable. You'll there might there's gonna be a point where you're gonna take a hit. It's gonna be on you whether it's a small hit or meet or normal hit or a huge hit, right? But if if it's gonna happen, that que vaya a pasar, that it's gonna happen, right? It's gonna
Of
happen.
course.
So
Yeah.
you know you have to learn from those mistakes. You have to to try and understand what is it that went wrong, so that if it's gonna happen again, at least you try and counter it, right? You can't just keep losing to the same mistake over and over again and expect to just at some point hit a big one and recover everything.
Mm.
Y ese soy yo. How about you? Yo creo que if you leave people with how matured through this, le dejamos nuestras dos perspectivas y con eso ellos seguirán tranquilos.
Yep. True. True.
How is it that you matured, right? And how you've come? How do you feel, ¿verdad? Que ha sido ese? How do you feel that process has been for you? That transition between when you first started, the decisions you were making back then, and how you're doing now, and the decisions you're taking now.
Wow. I honestly,
No estabas
it took
preparado,
me.
no estabas preparado.
No. I'm just like,
Ocho, que te doy por el micrófono.
oh my god, man,
I'm
relax.
sorry, I'm sorry,
I
I'm sorry.
you know,
I'm sorry,
you
I
know
don't have
what?
my
This time,
nasal.
this time I actually was not, not paying attention. This time I was paying attention.
Great.
It's just, man, it took me time, honestly, because I started investing, or we could say trading, because I was not holding. Well, actually, yeah, we could call it investing. I was holding them for quite some time, but I
You were
started
doing more
investing
like
when
swing trading, right?
yeah, I started at the age of 18. And I used to like, I was influenced by one of my wow, that was in high school, man.
Prime trades.
He was a professor. I'm in high school, and
Prime trades.
no, man, shut up, bro. Don't start. Don't even start with that.
My boy was like, "Hey, yo, you're into investing too, bro? I'm into investing, bro. Look, I work for this company called Prime Trades, bro. This company is like crazy, bro. Like, we know everything. Like, we should build something together, bro. Like, come into Prime Trades and we'll build something, an empire."
You shouldn't.
And
You should have. You would have made an empire, man.
Platinum
We would've
5,000
been
by
there.
today, bro.
We would have been
Chairman.
chairmans. Hell yeah. Nah, but going back to it, it was actually in high school. A professor. It's crazy. I'm so anti crypto, and you know what? The first thing he talked to us was about crypto, and he was telling us about crypto. He was like, "Oh, it used to be $200." We're talking back. Wow, that was like by 2012 or less. And he was also into the stock market. And he had holdings. He imagined. So this guy was so humble. He used to have a beat up car. It was a Mercury from like 1980s. This car, we used to joke around saying that his GPS, he used to like tie up birds into strings, and that's how he used to guide himself, like with the birds. Like that's how beat up and outdated his car was. He was. He never wore his chain. He never wore a watch, maybe like a Casio or something like that. But he used to have so much into his investing account. I know he told one of my friends, but he never told anybody else like how much he had. But just imagine, he told us, you know what? I actually teach because I love it. It's my passion. But I don't have to teach. My son's future and my grandson's future and my other my great grandson's future, they're all taken care of. And I was like, wow. Just imagine. And he was the one. He was a chemistry professor, and he started teaching us the fundamentals. He was like, oh, and this is what happens, and this and that. And he actually got me into trading. Once I turned 18, I kept on within that time frame of like 16 to 18, I kept on watching my mom. She had like investments in like her 401k, and I was like, wow, that thing keeps on growing, and she's not doing anything about it. And once I started investing, which I didn't know, I just opened an account. That's when Robinhood came out. A friend of mine was like, yo, Open Robinhood. It's free. Blah blah blah. I got into that, man. That's when I started losing money.
When I got into Robinhood, that's when I started losing money.
Man, I started buying. Just imagine how bad the investments were. I bought it was a penny stock, of course.
Yeah, of course.
That it went up and I was like, let me take profit from this. I already have a certain amount of money in my portfolio and I actually want to keep this money just to keep it.
Yeah.
I actually made money with that company, right? I took it out. Pop. I was lucky. I didn't even know what I was doing. I took it out. I was like, let me just keep it in case I want to buy another stock, from a different company. Can you believe months later I received a letter because the company they were taken out of the stock market. They took the company out of the stock market and they were doing a major lawsuit because a lot of people lost so much money. The lawsuit was almost $1 billion, something like that. It was super big. Like there was so many people in the lawsuit. I was like, wow. Wasn't I lucky?
Yeah.
Wasn't I lucky? But then I kept on. I was really into the pharmaceuticals. And oh my God, man. Didn't I lose money? I ended up taking money away because I was not very well financially by that time. I was a college student, spending money, blowing it on partying and all that, and then that's when I then
and the rest
eventually,
cannot be
yeah, the rest cannot be said. And then I met you,
said.
and I was like,
Hey,
wow,
yo.
this guy.
Hey, yo.
Hey yo,
Take me out to dinner.
that's when I was like, wow, this guy knows so much. And then then we started talking, and I came back into trading, and that's when I lost even more money, thinking I knew. Every time I came back, I never did anything before to learn from my mistakes. I just lost money and was like, it was just it was me, and of course it was me. But I never read a book. I never read anything. Then I met you, and that's when I started. Even though I made mistakes going on, I realized about those mistakes, and I was like, "Oh, hold up! It's not that." Yeah, I was like, "It's not that it does not work. It means that I don't know what I'm doing." So I started reading. You actually got me into reading The Intelligent Investor, um, which I have to read that book again. I'm known. It's so much information. Then you got me into like trading, and I started. That's when I learned. You were the one who showed me presented me Sam. You're like, oh, I know this trader. He used to manage so much money. And me and Sam now, we have a good connection. We bonded with them. It was really nice experience, and we kept on maturing. Now, instead of looking for the quick money, I started looking for the long-term money. I started looking, okay, so in 5 years, I want to have this much, or I want to have, profit. There's no easy way of making money. You have to work for your money.
Yeah.
There's no easy way. That's something I learned the hard way. There's no easy way. So easy way. And wow, we come a long way, man. It's funny. Someone the other day, someone wanted me to invest in Peloton. They crashed 30%. And I was thinking about it when you were talking. I was like, wow. If I was younger, I would have invested on the company. Straight up invested in the company. A couple months back, I would have been like, oh my God, look at the opportunity right here, without knowing that, the company's so much in debt. I wouldn't even look at how much revenue they used to make. I would just go into a chart and be like, wow, look at how much it dropped, and look how much, it can go up. And, that's all I was thinking. I wasn't even thinking about why did it drop?
Yeah.
Why did it go up? And thank you to my, maturity in the market. I told him, not really. It's not a good time to invest on it, and I don't even think it will even eventually be a good opportunity. It wouldn't even be a good stock to invest on it. And he was like, no, but look at the price. It just dropped 30, 40. And I was like, yeah, for a reason. It wasn't because, people were like, oh, let me cash out. This is not the casino. Like, well, he was saying he was already gambling.
At this point, who knows? It kind of is.
Yeah, at this point, right? But, another experience that someone told me was that they were like, oh, I make so much money with, and this was a hype in Puerto Rico, but this was way before I was little, but it was still presented again. Wow, I'm so sorry if I pronounce it wrong. Dinars or dinars. It's a currency, and I believe it's Iraq or Israel. But people were saying that was the future. People were like, "Oh, you should invest in this currency," just because it dropped with all the things that I was going on and the civil wars and all that. They were like, "Oh, once this is all over, this is gonna be, the currency." They were
the next dollar, the next dollar,
the next dollar. They were like, "This is gonna be the next dollar." In, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's 2011, 2017. They declared it that it was worth nothing.
Wow.
Like, it's worth nothing. That's like Jim Cramer hyping up MicroStrategies. Like, to this day, it's worth nothing.
That y'all take wild.
Man, that's something I learned. Within my trading and my investing. The all these years of trading and investing. That's what I learned. That hype. That's not how you do it.
Don't fall for the hype.
Yeah, you don't fall for that. You don't fall for that.
No. So, I do get you. And I feel like, in some ways, if you're hearing us right now, I'm pretty sure if you haven't gone through it, you will. And when you do, just think back to this episode and remember that it is part of the process. However, you will only grow if you learn from it. Otherwise, you will only keep failing. And that's when it's bad, because you'll turn into the 90% that fail and then not think about doing it again and miss out on the potential opportunity. So, if it's not your risk tolerance, that's perfectly fine. Get out of here. Continue long-term investing. That's the OG and one of the most effective ways anyway. But if you're intrigued by it, it is a process, guys. Anyways, I like to close out by always reminding you to keep doing what you're doing and keep doing what you do best. Keep investing, boys and girls. Thank you, Etiel. This is Brandon from The Money Jam. Peace out. Hey, come! Hey, yeah.
Claro, le metimos tiempo con cojones.